Welcome into the Hoist the Colors podcast. It is a Monday night, which means we are back and the season is underway. We are live on YouTube, Facebook. We are live on X as well, although it's not tweeted, but it is live on our Twitter page. And if you go to twitter.com, it comes up. StreamYard's having issues right now with Twitter, but we are live. I'm Steven Igo. I am joined by Scott Lorbatcher and Jonathan Wagner. We are taking your comments, questions as always. And unfortunately, gentlemen, we are recapping a season opening series loss to Xavier as the Musketeers come to Greenville and really impressed with their style of play. ECU, especially on defense, especially offensively at times, did not impress. They lose the first two. They bounce back, look much better in game three for several reasons, which we can get into. But we're going to have some good takes because we're going to have, starting this week, our overreaction take every week, but especially going to be, electric this time because we're 3 games in, and it's a perfect time to overreact. But we'll go more general takes to begin with, thoughts on the weekend as a whole. We'll start with Scott Lorbatcher this time. Scott, your general takeaway from ECU losing 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I thought the pitching looked good. I thought at times we hit the ball hard, just not at the right times. But I think we led a winnable series against a really good team, and I want to make sure people understand that Xavier is a really good team. I've seen a lot of stuff about how you can't get beat at home to Xavier. Xavier's a good baseball program. And it's kind of a revenge weekend for them. They were maybe the first team out of the tournament last year, or if not very close. ECU steals a bid, they stay home. So, I mean, maybe there was some extra motivation there. But just the decisions on who was playing where on Friday and the first game Saturday, I felt like really came back to bite us. And it's frustrating that that's the case. This is a series that we could have definitely won and would be a notch in our belt towards hosting or an at-large team or whatever that may be at this season's end. And instead, we're sitting here at 1-2, and I think everybody's pretty frustrated about it.
Wags, your takeaways from the weekends.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, it kind of like baseball season's awesome. We were all so excited to get back there, and then you lose on Friday, you lose the first game on Saturday, and you kind of get flashbacks to last year. Like, man, here we go again. It might be one of those years again, and that's a little bit of an overreaction, and that's not my overreaction for later. But yeah, there's no way to put it. You lose a series to start the season, it sucks no matter what situation you're in. But that wasn't good. The freshman looked really good. Grady Linehan is legit center fielder, middle of the order bat right away. Colby Weber looked legit, and some of your bullpen guys looked legit. And I know there's other guys too that I'm missing. But yeah, it's just frustrating that some of the problems we've been harping on for years seem to be the same ones that came back and bit you in the butt this weekend. And I think it's why you lost. You don't have a sure thing at shortstop. Even fully healthy, I don't think you do. So it's frustrating all around, but hopefully they can bounce back and prove everyone wrong this week.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys' take. I mean, I was just a little disappointed. First off, I was pretty shocked at the Colby Wallace shortstop start, which we can get into here in a minute. And, they would not have put him there if they didn't believe he could handle it. And I'm sure they practiced it, as Cliff Godwin said earlier today on the Hoist the Colors show on 94.3 The Game. But it was clear by game 3 they had to make a change. I will say kudos to them for going ahead and making the change and not forcing the issue. I mean, we have to remember the Boucher thing went all of last year before they made the change. And, I think Colby would have improved. It was clear he was maybe pressing, overthinking it. I don't think he's a natural shortstop to begin with. We talked about it in the preseason. The shortstop issue was probably our biggest concern overall, and it showed up right away, and it cost ECU a series and some other defensive issues as well. Catching was very up and down all weekend. Obviously, anytime you go 3 for 28 runners in scoring position, that's going to lend itself to some losses more times than not. And yeah, I do think if they get that hit at the end of game 1 in the season opener, or if they don't make those errors, if Walker Barron doesn't allow the wild pitch, to allow the 4th run, then ECU probably wins that game. We're feeling much different. But those things did come back to bite him because Xavier was a good baseball team, and good teams take advantage of those mistakes. So you credit Xavier, but it also shows ECU's weaknesses. If they don't get them ironed out in the coming weeks against even better teams, it's not going to get any better. So this was a wake-up call. Now, I will say, if you would have told me going in that ECU was going to lose the series, I would have probably felt like I'd be more concerned than I am. I think ECU is going to be real on the mound, and I think they're going to have enough offensively. And for me, it's just can the defense, figure out a way to be competent enough, and can they get timely hitting, which they did not, the first two games, obviously. All right, so we'll get into everybody's comments here in a minute. Keep dropping those. Overreaction takes. Now, let me preface this. Like, it's meant to be an overreaction. So nothing's too crazy here. I guess it can be crazy, and you can go positive or negative. I'm going to guess since ECU lost the series, we may all go negative. We'll find out here in a moment. But, like, if the takes sound crazy, it kind of is meant to be a little crazy. Overreaction Monday. Who wants to start it off? Who's got a good take? Overreaction take.
I'll do it. I still don't know which one I'm going with. I'm between two. But I think one of you is going to take my other one, so I'm going to go with this one instead. And to me, I think my overreaction is I think the depth that we all praise position player-wise this offseason was incredibly overrated. Losing Braxton Trammell hurts. Obviously, if you have him, then opening day, you probably still have Colby at short, but at least you have Trammell at third, most likely, and Braden Burris in the outfield. And I think that could, it's different. Braden Burris, I don't think it's his fault. He had a bad day at third base on opening day, but he had a bad day at third base. But just looking at the depth around, Jack Vogeley didn't have a good weekend at DH. Obviously, I hyped him up a lot. But after that, Jeff Sabater, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. And he struck out looking with the bases loaded with the game on a line down a run in game one on opening day. You can't strike down looking in that spot. And then it's just the questions. I know you're hurt right now, too, and that has an impact. Boucher is hurt. Matt Lashley is hurt. And, yes, that throws it off. But even if those guys come back, we saw Boucher last year. And Lashley, I think, is better known for his glove than his bat. So how much of an impact do they really make, on both ends? So I'm concerned a little bit about the depth right now. Catching-wise, Kalinic he caught the best defensive game of the weekend. But his bat, I'm still not convinced about that. But – and there's the cat. And then you have – again, it's, Walker Barron was good at the plate. But I just don't know if you have the depth behind him at catching-wise to where you can put him at DH where I think he belongs after this weekend. So the depth is a concern. I just don't know if you have enough pieces as we thought we would.
My overreaction take kind of goes off that. So, Scott, do you have – I'll let you go first, then I'll close with mine. So, yeah, you go ahead and hit yours.
Yeah, I would say a lot of small decisions, seemingly small decisions, led to a lot of big problems. And there's some concern that this is endemic of a greater problem within the coaching staff or whatever it may be, where we have to be the smartest guys in the room. We're going to move our great third baseman over to shortstop for some reason and turn one problem into two problems. The decision making by the coaching staff at times this weekend I thought was really bad. I look at game one. We have runners on first and second. Grady Linehan up, a guy that I think we've all been excited to see. We've all heard a ton about how great he is at the plate. You have him bunt in his first plate appearance as a Pirate in the, second inning? Let him swing away. And then you go to later in that game, it's 2-2 late, and we have runners on first and second, no outs, and we have guys swinging away when at that point you need a run. Early in the game, you play for the kill shot. Late in the game, you play for the run. I think that's just how things work. And then the decision to have Davin Whitaker, who I like as a player, in left field when, I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of guys can make that throw from left field to home plate and have a chance of getting the runner out. And that wasn't even close. and that was in a big spot. So there's just a lot of decisions that were really frustrating to see. Even we talked about Sabater and they looked at strike three call at the end of game one. And that's obviously frustrating, but he also got on base three other times in that game. And then we didn't see him the rest of the weekend. It's just a lot of little small decisions, and it goes from the head coach up to Wags can't even get his tickets for some reason. That pissed me off. Then we got one video package on the scoreboard for all of our pro players. We can mix that up a little bit. We got 0 people in the camera behind home plate on the TV feed, and the ones that are there are all on their phone. And they could have been sitting on their hands from what I can tell. And you got 2,000 people standing in the outfield, and I'm sure some of them would like to sit down. And then in the end of the game, you want the stands to be loud. I think the stands being loud affects how the game goes way more than what the jungle can do, especially at the end of the game. And we got people that are standing out there, and I go to not a ton of games, but I go to enough, and I go to more road games than I do home games because I like to sit in the seats and watch the game. And if you don't buy season tickets, it's almost impossible to just get a ticket in the stands. And I think that's unfair to our fans. There's obviously a clear demand for people to want to go to the game. Our students can't even sit in the stands. That's ridiculous to me. There should be a spot carved out for them. They're the loudest ones that go to the game. And here's a thing. There's girls that go to our school. They're probably not going to want to walk around in the dirt in the outfield. And guess what? Girls are better at planning things than guys are for the most part. So who's organizing? We're going to go to the game this weekend. It's not the dudes who woke up at 11:30 and the game's at 12:30. So it's just there's all these little decisions that we've been making as a baseball program that I just don't know where we go from here because we have too great of a fan base to not treat them well. And I think we've kind of forgotten about that a little bit. And it starts at the top. And these guys got to make better decisions for the fans and the lineup all the way down. And, you can say that that's, unfair to them or whatever it may be, but they get paid a lot of money to make these decisions.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of fair points there, and it's not just obviously you started with the coaches, but some of that is on the administration and for everybody, from like you said, from the top down. It just feels like, and I'm sure the team performance has something to do with it, but it does feel like the home atmosphere has lost some luster the last few years, and maybe we got spoiled by all the regional runs, and we just kind of expect success. I do feel like, as a fan base, ECU fans just are not willing the team back from these deficits at times or in tough moments. Like the only time I really felt the presence of the fans this past weekend, and part of it is on the team, but also like the team has to the fans have to will the team at times too. The only time was that bases loaded jam, game 1 of Saturday, and ECU got a sac fly, and then I think somebody popped out or grounded out, and it kind of fizzled. But that was the only time the crowd got into it all weekend. So the weather doesn't help, but I think there's a lot of fair points there, and a lot of that comes back to the lack of people in seats in the stands. The jungle, you can only make so much noise to the pitcher and hitter. You can really barely hear them if you're in the stands. So, all right, my overreaction take from opening weekend is that ECU is going to miss Braxton Trammell more than we initially thought. And we thought that he'd be missed a decent amount because anytime you have a switch hitter with power, like you're naturally going to miss him. But I think, like just watching the lineup, the one thing I noticed on opening weekend was I kind of like that they have some table setters, and I think they've got some guys with speed, and they've got enough contact-oriented bats, but I just am not sold that you're going to have that dude in the heart of the lineup who's going to strike fear in the opposing team. And Braxton Trammell could have been that guy based on the small sample size we saw last year, but just his real power and the fact that he's a switch hitter, he's a matchup problem for opposing teams. So, again, it's an overreaction segment. So I still want to see more at-bats from Jack Vogeley. I still want to see some more at-bats from some of these young guys. I think Grady Linehan can end up being a power guy. I think also Bachman, the young kid they played in the finale can be an impact bat in time, but it's a little early for him because of the injury to Trammell. So I just feel like, guys, that that injury, maybe we undersold it at the time that it happened. Maybe it was wishful thinking. Maybe we're just like, this team's got so much depth, going back to Wags' point, that, yeah, we would like to have him, but we won't miss him as much. So just some thoughts there on Trammell's injury, who, by the way, confirmed that he will be out for the season per Cliff Godwin, which is a shame. I did notice he was still in on the leadership council meeting right after the game with Cliff Godwin, the coaching staff, on Saturday. So that's worth mentioning as well. So we'll still be heavily involved in the team. All right. So good thoughts, gentlemen. Appreciate everybody participating in that. Let's get into some of these comments now. And we can kind of recap the weekend as a whole as we go through this as well. So JPN says, finally glad Cliff moved Colby back to third base. He says, I think we have to live with Parham at shortstop till Lashley gets healthy. Hope he can beat Ryder or Joey Barini. Zach adding, I was surprised they didn't try Hakame at shortstop. I mean, we can all weigh in on this. I thought it was maybe this was Cliff and the staff taking a stab at, they've at times, like last year, let's be honest, when they moved Dixon to shortstop, Dixon is not a shortstop. And so I think maybe in some way they're like, you know what, let's just find out if Colby can play shortstop. Heat of the moment, like obviously he practiced it, but like it's a different thing being the guy at shortstop in practice versus a game. And maybe they were just going for that again. Maybe they were going for, what they found with Agnos, who, played it really well, but at the time it was kind of an unknown when he was moved over there. So maybe they were going for that. And it just backfired. And maybe they tried again later in the year. I don't know. Parham is coming off. I didn't even know he had internal brace procedure. So that's a thing. We know Lashley's banged up. This signals to me they don't exactly trust Hakame or Burris at shortstop, Wag. So I don't know. Just the whole situation. Parham will start at shortstop on Tuesday night. And then I guess we just see how it goes from there.
Yeah, if you would have told me this time last year that we'd be after the first weekend in 2026 and Nick Parham's your best option at shortstop, I'd tell you you're crazy and to please never say it to me again. But, no offense to Nick Parham, but, yes, he is, I think, your best defensive option without Matt Lashley healthy. But I don't trust that Nick Parham can hit above 200 at this level. I'll believe that when I see it. So that's a concern. But to me, it's you have to pick either defense or offense. And with the way this team is built right now without Lashley, you have neither. So from the shortstop position, at least. So, but yeah, I don't blame them for trying Colby there necessarily. And I know Cliff said that it looked like, or that he's gotten work there in the preseason. But to me, it just didn't look like he's gotten enough time there to really be comfortable in game action. But we were sitting in the press box and I said, I like it for Colby. At least he gets a shot. See if he has, like you said, Mike Dixon. He's clearly not a shortstop, but try him there. But Colby Wallace is an elite defensive third baseman. So I can't necessarily blame them for trying an elite player defensively at one position somewhere else when you're down a couple of guys in the infield already. So, yeah, it's just frustrating because we're having the same conversation every freaking year. And it's Nick Parham. And I said this to you guys earlier, but part of me hopes that we have to ride Nick Parham at shortstop this year, just so we can experience it. Because again, he's not going to hit, but it's going to be worse than Joey Barini was. No offense to Joey Barini, and maybe that's what wakes Cliff up and forces him to actually go get a shortstop for the first time in forever. Because it's frustrating to have the same conversation every year and get all worked up after opening weekend every single year like we have 2 years in a row now.
For those wondering about Nick Parham's bat, the sample size is small. Again, he didn't play last summer due to the injury. Last year, he had 18 plate appearances for ECU, 2 hits in those 18 plate appearances. He actually hit a homer and 2 RBI, but 133 batting average. The most extensive time he got was summer of 2024, coming off his freshman season for Charlottesville in the Valley League, 214, 3 doubles, a triple, 13 RBI in a wood bat league, 19 Ks, 13 strikeouts. So, I mean, look, Scott, I think at this point you just have to eat it. I don't care who who can hit, who can't. Just give me somebody who can. Like, I don't want to hold my breath every time a ball is hit to shortstop. And like, this pitching staff is too good, and I think the rest of the lineup can be good enough that you just have to eat it. Whether it's Lashley, Parham, whoever, I'm just rolling with defense. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I would like to point out that I think Colby Wallace played a better shortstop than Braden Burris played at third base. I know it kind of feels like we were maybe piling on him, but losing him at third base was worse than having him at shortstop. Um, and that cost us a ton this weekend. But I do agree. I think if Nick Parham can, field at a 98 plus fielding percentage, then just play him there. Even if he bats 220, 215, whatever it might be, it's worth it. I think there's 2 to 3 positions depending on how you look at it, where defense is more important than offense. It's shortstop, it's catcher, and I think we struggled there as well. And then center field, you can have a guy that's really, really good at offense that can overcome mediocre defense in center field. But I think at shortstop and catcher, it is paramount that you make plays up the middle and keep the ball in front of you. It was frustrating. I mean, it cost us the game on Friday night not having um, Wallace at third base cost us the game, and having him at shortstop cost us the game separately from one another.
No doubt, no doubt, and that's why they made the change they did. But again, cost ECU a series. All right, another question here from Chuck. He says, "I know it's early, cold weather, etc., but are you concerned with the power on this team? Only one home run in 3 games. It doesn't seem, maybe with the exception of Irby, no one can hit double-digit home runs." I mean, I'll be honest. I never thought this would be a great home run hitting team. I need more of a sample size. Like, one weekend, open a weekend, I'm not too concerned about it. Now, do I think this team's going to just be dropping bombs left and right? No, but I never really thought that in the first place. Colby, Austin, I think Linehan's going to hit some home runs. I think Vogeley's going to hit some home runs once he settles in. I think it'll be a solid home run team, but not a big one. What about you guys? Are y'all concerned about that, or is it just too early?
No,
It's
I think. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I agree. It's too early. It's cold, like Chuck said, but Jack Vogeley did not have the weekend I wanted him to, but I also didn't predict him to lead the team in homers for no reason. So just because we didn't see it weekend one doesn't mean we're not going to see it 2 months from now or even a week from now. So Austin Irby is going to get his, Colby Wallace is going to get his, and like you said, Grady Linehan, I think, has some power in his bat too. As he gets more comfortable, we're going to start seeing that more. And even Braden Burris, he's not a home run hitter, but he's going to hit enough. And with the way he looked this weekend, he hit the ball hard every time he stepped up to the plate. So he's going to run into some too. So not really a concern. I do agree. I'd like to see more, proven, known power in the lineup more consistently on a year-to-year basis. But at this point, I'm not ready to write it off completely. And Jack Herring clearly has it. We saw what he did. And, back to Linehan for a second. I was watching BP before Friday, and I saw him go back to back to back, all no doubt home runs. And I know it's batting practice. And then his 4th consecutive pitch was hit over the fence, but it was robbed by the outfielder who was out there. So he's got some pop. So I think we'll be okay. But, again, it might not be the elite power that some people want, and I agree with that.
You going to add something, Scott?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, we know that more than Irby can have double-digit home runs because Colby Wallace did it last year. I think Jack Herring proved that he is an elite hitter again this weekend. He didn't have a full season last year, but he was pacing right with Irby kind of numbers-wise. Linehan, I'll be interested to see how his power develops throughout the year as he gets more comfortable. But as a team, we had 12 extra base hits over the weekend. Xavier only had 9. Granted, they had 6 home runs, and we had 11 doubles and 1 home run. So it's, the power may be to the gaps and hitting doubles. If some of those doubles come with runners in scoring position instead of leadoff doubles that don't score somehow. We're talking about this weekend completely differently. So I think the power will come. It won't be, multiple guys with close to 20 home runs. I don't think that will be the case. It may never be the case with Cliff as the coach here, unless Billy Godwin shows up and brings Kyle Roller with him again or something like that.
Brings a bunch of corner infielders, first baseman, and maybe some steroids too.
John Hoops.
Yeah, even your second baseman and shortstop got to be 6'5", 6'6". I did want to give a shout out to Jack Herring, who had phenomenal weekend. He looks to be in great shape, and look, man, like not the most talented guy in the world naturally, but like just is going to fight his tail off every at bat, and he's got quick hands, so he doesn't get beat on many pitches at all. So, look, we talked about the negative, Kurt Cohn adding his overreaction. Pirates can't hit a watermelon, 3 for 29, runners in scoring position. Let's talk about the positives. And I still think, I think this is a team that can be very good. And you've got people who are jumping off Green Street Bridge, and I think part of it is the fear of the upcoming schedule and the realization that if ECU plays like this for the next 3 weekends, they could be in bad shape by the end of non-conference play. But I think if they can just figure out a little bit more defensively, settle in, and whether or not that happens quicker, sooner than later, will be seen, and just figure out some roles offensively. Like, this pitching staff is going to be real, man. Like, I look at it today. This is assuming everybody stays healthy. You look at the staff. Obviously, look, Ethan Norby, we haven't even talked about. He probably had one of his worst starts of his career, realistically. But I thought the changeup looked good. And so I feel like once the fastball and the slider come with it, he'll be very good. Sean Jenkins out of the bullpen, I mean, he was throwing 97, 98 with movement. He got more swings and misses, I feel like, in those first couple innings than we saw at any point last year. Gavin Van Kempen looked awesome for 4 innings. We'll see how he continues the trend going deeper into games if, as we talked about on the preseason pod. But his defense let him down. Otherwise, he would have had 4 shutout innings. Colby Weber, for a freshman, I mean, lived up to the hype in a tough spot. And then scheduled to throw tomorrow is Brett Antolik. Doubt he goes very long at Campbell. But, I mean, that's 5 guys who are probably going to be draft picks. And that's just the front half of your starting rotation, starting pitching staff, I should say. I thought Towers looked good before getting tired with the big delay, or maybe getting out of it, so to speak, is a better way to put it. And we saw some good pieces from the bullpen. So, I'm bullish on this pitching staff, Wags. Even some of the guys who didn't give up or who gave up some runs, I think they're only going to get better. So, I love what I saw stuff-wise on the mound, and enough to give me hope that, all right, if the offense can just figure things out enough and the defense can just figure things out enough, this can still be a team that can win any weekend series.
Yeah, I completely agree. And going back to positive, you mentioned Grady Linehan. I think he has the potential to be maybe one of, if not the best center fielder we've, had, at least in recent memory. I think he's that good. But yeah, the pitching, can't really be upset about it. When you leave a weekend and Ethan Norby was your worst starter, and that's not really saying he was awful, it's more saying the other 2 guys were really good, that's a positive. Gavin Van Kempen, like you said, was good through 4, and we'll see if he can go deeper. I think we need him to go deeper if he's pitching on Saturdays. But Colby Weber looked legit. And I think we were texting early, and I said, man, this guy's going to cost a lot of money next year. That's looking ahead. But that says more about just how good he is. And it's his first start, so he's only getting started. And someone you did mention, Luke Payne, was fantastic through his first 2 innings. And he went out for a third, and that's where the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. But still, I think he had 4 5s. How many strikeouts did he have? Yeah, 1 strikeout. I might be thinking of someone else. But either way, Luke Payne.
He was throwing the ball hard. And he was jacked up too, yeah.
And that's a guy that, coming in, Tennessee transfer, didn't have a ton of experience at Tennessee. But if you look at the stuff, and it was awesome. And I think some people were kind of like, we're overhyping these types of transfers coming in because they haven't done anything yet. This is why. You look at what they bring, not on the box score, on the stat sheet. You look at the pitches he has, the stuff he has. Luke Payne looked awesome. And if Luke Payne pitches like that, then I think for the first time in a while, we're going to have a legit lefty out of the bullpen that you can trust in big situations, in any situation. So it's good. Yeah, Ryan Towers was good. Gavin Marley was really good too. So all these guys, I think we all coming into the weekend were interested to see how is the staff going to shake out, what kind of roles will they have, and we don't really know what roles they're going to have because it's an ECU pitching staff. The roles are going to change every week, and your top guys are going to go early. And we're coming away from this weekend saying that the pitching was so good, and Ethan Norby, your top starter, and Joe Webb, your probably projected top bullpen guy coming in, both didn't look all that good. So it's a positive. Those guys are not going to pitch as poorly as they did. And both of them gave you a chance to. They battled through it clearly. But it's a positive. The pitching staff is deep. It could be one of the deepest ones we've had. And I know we've said that every year, but this time I'm really starting to believe it.
I mean, if we just say it every year, then eventually we'll have to be right. So, I mean, that's the goal. I thought Webb, like I saw enough stuff. Like once he can actually get ahead of hitters, he's going to be a problem. But yeah, he was just too erratic. Scott, what about you? Any other positive standout or anything you want to add on?
Yeah, I was going to bring up Gavin Marley. I thought he looked really good. I'll go in a different direction though. I'll say that I felt like compared to last year, this team showed a lot more life and energy in games in the games where we were struggling than they ever did at any point during the season last year. And I think a lot of that has to do with Austin Irby on the field. He seemed to be much more vocal to start this season than he was at the beginning of last season as a true freshman. I think Luke Payne came off the mound and was kind of pumped up at one point. So it does encourage me to see this team still fighting, still having high energy. Because I know there were several times last year where it felt like every team we played just played with more energy than we did. And I don't think that was the case this weekend. I think we just didn't execute and we got beat because of it. But I think we matched the intensity and the energy level of Xavier throughout the entire weekend.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll add on that. And I always, when you're in there live, it's hard to tell what they show on TV and what they don't. But Hakame, he was showing a ton of energy. Burris, Irby, also Payne after he got his, I think it was either his first or second 1, 2, 3 inning. He came off the field like screaming at the dugout, like clearly trying to just fire him up and get a comeback started. So, like, it was good to see some of the new guys. Bachman, after he got his sack fly, he was jacked up. Like, it was good to see some of the new guys. And look, we could have the old school, new school, like have, how you play. That's just how guys play now, man. Like, I'm all for it. I know other people have different opinions about it, but yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, my thing is if you're not, as long as you're not taking away and taking your attention off the game and trying to show up the other team, like then I'm all for it. If you're trying to get your team fired up, like that's when I'm in favor of it. And that's what I think a lot of it was. I mean, let's be honest, ECU couldn't get a freaking player in from third base with less than 2 outs the first 2 games. I'd be celebrating like hell too if I got a sack fly. I mean, come on now. I mean, we got to celebrate something around here. All right. A lot of comments about the hitting. It all came down to hitting with runners in scoring position. Drew says it's concerning seeing so many lineup changes. We should know what works and stick with it. Well, that's just, hey, man, that's the ECU way, baby. If you're not used to lineup changes, follow another team or wait till May. Maybe we can settle in. That's just how it's always been. Somebody brought the point. Bruce Willis says his overreaction. There's offensive tension between Cliff and Jake Gautreau. Being there, I didn't say what?
Bruce Willis. That's spelling Gautreau.
Yeah, could not spell Gautreau the right way. But, hey, good shot. Being there in person, did not see any tension, Bruce. But, hey, I did notice that Gautreau was coaching up the hitters in between pitching changes, doing a lot of talking to hitters on deck. So clearly he is in many ways instructing the hitters on what to do. And let's be honest too, at least on paper, guys, you got 2 of the best hitting coaches in the country on the same staff. And we all kind of question how this would work out. And I think it's fair to say it's probably going to take some time. I thought they were caught in between approaches a lot. Like there was not a lot of swinging and missing, which is a positive, but it's almost like they were very tentative on what they wanted to attack. I mean, did you notice anything similar, Wags? And that's what gives me hopes is like they didn't look overmatched at all. It was just more about I don't know. They need to figure out a way to sell out to something offensively.
Yeah, I think we were talking on Friday in the press box, and to me, I think it looked like they weren't looking fastball. I think a lot of times you see teams that just they sell out for the fastball, and the off speed is when they kind of look lost. But this team on Friday, at least, I was watching on TV the rest of the weekend, but on Friday, I thought they were waiting for an off speed hung over the plate, and then when they get a fastball, they just looked overmatched and late, and like they weren't ready for it. So yeah, but yeah, I think we had this conversation last week and the week before that it's probably going to take some time to figure out what kind of offensive style this team's going to have. Cliff Godwin has his ways. We're going to see bunting, we're going to see slashing. Jake Gaudreau is probably the polar opposite from that, from what I know. But now that I think back on it, Scott mentioned the Grady Linehan first career at bat, bunting, and I said it in the press box as soon as he came up with two guys on. I'm like, great, his first career at bat's going to be a bunt, and what do you know? But that now that I think about it, like I can't think of another situation like that the rest of the weekend. Maybe there's one, but either way, if there's only one or two more after that, that's a very strong decrease from what we're used to in this team. In fact, I think there were some times where we were thinking maybe we should bump this guy over, get a guy in scoring position, and obviously hitting in scoring position didn't go very well. But I think it was maybe a trend back towards the mean or below the mean. So yeah, I don't know. It's 3 games. 2 of them were played on the same day, and the one that you would think you might be a little more sluggish in was the one where you broke out. So it's opening weekend. It's cold. It'll be a little warmer this weekend. You're going to face some better pitching, but yeah, I think we'll see just what this team's going to be style wise. But safe to say we really don't know yet, but we'll see.
Nick Parham did have the only sack bunt on the weekend for the record. And I will say, too, Linehan did execute a bunt, I think, in game 3. And this one he beat out and they gave him a hit. I think they gave him an RBI on it, which I don't know exactly how that worked out. But either way, he was sack bunting, got it down, and ended up being a hit. Either way, that was, I think, game 3. But you can see the speed from that dude. He can fly. He's very fast. Did you have anything to add about the offense, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, we only struck out 16 times compared to Xavier struck out 27. So we had 10 walks, 10 hit by pitches, 11 doubles. I mean, I think the numbers are there. It just timing wise didn't line up. And sometimes that's just baseball. It just, when it comes the first weekend, it kind of illuminates
We
it
all
a little
freak out.
brighter than
Yeah.
if this was, you know, the 5th weekend of the season and we were playing some, UTSA or somebody.
No doubt, no doubt. Jack Dover says also concerned about Frank Saccone. He let up 2 bombs. I mean, I think he was just pounding the zone. And one of those was in a hitter's count. He just fell behind. The other one, it was the 9th inning of a 12-4 game. Like, he's doing his job. Veteran arm, going there and throw strikes. I'd rather him be giving up bombs than walking everybody. So, like, I'm not concerned. I think he'll be fine, and I expect him to throw one of the next 2 days. All right, a few more comments here. Skull Pirate is in the chat. He loves Scott's Leonardo DiCaprio hair look. Well done. So, yeah, you got the flow going on, Scott. Looking good.
Yeah, so somehow we have gotten off schedule with our hairdresser. So I don't know how to get back on the schedule. So I'm just waiting for that to get set up for me.
Just keep it going, man. Just keep it flowing. Johnny Robertson says Jack Herring has a 10-game hitting streak and is batting .418 in his last 8. So I guess that would be over the last, 9 months? 8
Yeah,
months?
at least because he was he was out for injury. Did he come back? I'm blanking on who was in the lineup and Conway.
Was he ever out with injury?
I think he was on the field.
He wasn't injured. They just didn't play him for like 2 months. That's what it was. He only played in like 37 games last year.
Yeah, he didn't really have a role until later in the year.
Yeah,
normal role anyways. Yeah.
He lost his job to Peltier and Keenan Bowman.
Keenan Bowman. Sorry, Keenan.
Keenan Bowman's probably watching this and be like, "What's this dude's problem?" Laughing at me.
The dude who can't even get a picture on his wall.
All right, some thoughts about Sean Jenkins. Chuck wants to know what's his role, midweek starter, middle relief. Man, that stuff I saw the other day, guys, like I leave him in the bullpen, man. I mean, if you need him in the rotation, you can go that route, but like based on what I saw, and maybe he can go deeper as a reliever with this stuff as the season goes on, but like that was elite stuff for the first and second inning. Like nearly unhittable. So I'm leaving it there. I'm leaving it right there. Any disagreements?
Yeah, not a disagreement, but I completely agree. And I think I talked myself in this weekend to Sean Jenkins being the perfect guy to follow Ethan Norby out of the bullpen. And obviously that's what we saw. But again, Ethan Norby is going to improve upon what he was on Friday. And in a month by now, he's going to be pitching 7 innings into every game. You're probably going to be in a tight game or up. And I think with Norby the way he is, with the stuff he has, Jenkins with his fastball ticking up a little bit this year and his other stuff looking better, I think that's a perfect change of pace guy to follow Norby out of the bullpen. And then if he's only giving you 2 innings on Friday, maybe he gives you 3, then on a Tuesday and midweek, then he's available too out of the bullpen, and he can help you shut things down there. Maybe he serves as your closer during the midweek. But, yeah, bullpen seems to be the right fit for him. Again, it's one weekend, it's early, but I really liked what I saw from him, especially following Norby.
And some of these things will, as the starting pitchers especially go from 65 to 75 pitches, more to 85, 90, then 100. All this stuff will line up a little better as far as relievers not having to throw as much or as lengthy. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All right, we're getting a lot of comments about injuries. Let me just see if I can rattle these off. You guys let me know if I forget any. All right. Braxton Trammell confirmed out for the year, 4-month injury. As far as rehab, no surgery needed as of now per Cliff Godwin. So I doubt he would be back if they make a late postseason run, but definitely out for the regular season. Sounds like the entire season. All right, Alex Boucher got injured chest bumping prior to the season opener. So no more chest bumping?
It's not even the worst celebration injury of the weekend. That dude for
oh God, that was tough.
Who was
Seton
that?
Hall?
No, our other Pirates. It's not even the worst Pirate celebration injury.
He gets a trip to Puerto Rico for opening weekend and comes away with a snapped ankle.
That was brutal.
That was nasty.
So Boucher, my bold prediction to go deep week 1 doesn't even get at bat as a result of that. So that is that's going to be kind of a week-to-week injury. It sounds like somebody asked about Peltier. Peltier has a forearm injury. I actually heard about this as I was sitting in the stands. Some people were talking. I was like, who are they talking about forearm injury? That was Peltier. He's going to be also probably going to miss at least a few weeks as far as outfield play because he can't throw 100%. He can bat and he can run, but I don't think it's super serious. But he's out right now with a throwing or arm injury. Let's see. Who else? You've got Di Lorenzo. He just left the game the other day. Now, I did check on that today. Per some sources, don't think it's anything serious. I think it was more precautionary than anything, but they're still doing some follow-up testing, I should say. But initial word is it's nothing concerning. What may be concerning is the fact he just didn't look comfortable out there. So I don't know if it's like a mental thing or not.
His velo was way down too,
Yeah.
right?
It was 85, 86.
Yeah, that's not him.
He's usually 90, 93. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. But I don't, early word is nothing super wrong. Lashley's out with a hamstring / glute injury. That sounds like it could be at least a couple more weeks, maybe even longer. They don't want another setback. Am I missing anybody?
Parker
I
Bird.
think that
Parker Bird,
Still
taking infield,
out.
outfield, but still not 100%.
all that makes so much more sense because we were sitting there during infield outfield on Friday saying, what in the world is going on at these positions? Yeah. We saw Nick Parham backing up at shortstop, and here we are now. We saw Chance Hall backing up in center field, and we're like, where's Alex Peltier? I guess Lashley's not healthy. Like, where is everyone? And now it makes a little more sense.
And then Sabater didn't take infield out on Saturday, but then he was fine. So I don't know. I feel like I'm missing somebody.
But either way, no. We did learn this weekend. It is Sabater.
It is.
And
Jeff Sabater.
We get Antolik back tomorrow.
Yes.
So
he will start as the opener, which should be, I would just keep excited to see him pitch, but I'm keeping my expectations in check because this guy's not thrown in nearly 2 years. So
will you get to see him pitch? Do you have a Flow Sports subscription?
WITN's picking up the game on 7-2 if you got your off-air antenna ready.
We're actually going to have to drive down the road with a TV antenna sticking out the window.
Just to see the purple peeps, assuming we're, wearing those.
The traditional Campbell uniforms.
Oh, gosh. Somebody asked earlier, has ECU ever gone into the UNC series unbeaten? Jackson Allsbrook says, when was the last time we went into the UNC series undefeated? Feels like we always have a slip-up weather.
2022?
If it's the first weekend series of the Campbell game, always seems we drop a game. I know we have not beaten Campbell since 2022, and so that would be tracking, but I don't know if that was the year they lost to Bryant, so no.
Yeah, that's a good point. 21, 22, let's see here.
And 22, I believe, is the first year they played this series.
I like when you go to our website, we have that weird 21, 22 season. That's just like the scores the Purple Gold World Series. No. 21, 21 we didn't play UNC, so.
Yeah, those were back when we had the home and home at Georgia Southern. So never, to answer your question, Jackson. Somebody also wanted to know the name of your cat, Wags.
Yeah, the one that keeps making appearances, her name is a Hattie because she was watching hockey the weekend I adopted her, and Jordan Stahl scored a hat trick, so I went Hattie there. And then the other cat that makes a lot less appearances on the screen, his name is Eric because it was Eric Stahl's jersey retirement weekend when I got him, and he was my favorite player growing up. So Hattie and Eric, two crazy cats.
This man named his cats after hockey. I respect it, but
You're damn right.
Somebody said not Don Smith or not Dean Smith, Don Smith. Surprisingly, not Dean Smith for UNC fan Wags. Skull says Wags is a lonely cat lady. Makes sense.
Thanks, Skull.
Look, Skull can be ruthless sometimes with his comments, and he hit.
That was a good one.
Yeah, he hit on that one though. Well done. There's no doubt. All right. I guess we can go ahead and move forward to the week ahead. I mean, nothing really to add. I'm kind of over talking about the Xavier series. Anybody else got anything?
I'll add one more thing, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, but Walker Barron has to be better behind the plate.
Yeah.
If he catches like he did on Friday, this team will not win the conference. They will not do anything, and we will have another long year. And he's still going to be your starter. And Michael Kalinic, I feel really good about my bold prediction for the season that Barron will start 70% or less of the games at catcher this season because he looked bad behind the plate. And it sucks too, of course that came in the Ethan Norby start. Norby's a veteran. He's been there. He can kind of work around that stuff. But what if that happens in Colby Weber's first career start and you shake his confidence for good? You can't have it. Catch the ball. You're a catcher. You catch the ball. It was just pitches just up and out of the zone he wasn't catching. balls he wasn't, blocking properly. He was keeping his leg up, wasn't getting down. So the catching has to be better. Barron had a good weekend offensively, and, I'm going to give him credit for that. But if he catches like he did defensively, this team has no chance.
If you're not good defensively at catcher and shortstop, you got no shot. That's just how it is, man. I mean, and I will say, look, we've seen better from Walker, so we all expect better from Walker defensively. So it's not like we're trying to rag on him, and I'm sure these things are being said behind the scenes. And also, I mean, Joe Webb was spiking balls left to right, so it wasn't an easy catch. But then, like later in the weekend, there was a sequence where he tried to frame a pitch, didn't catch it. That was a pass ball. There was another one that was catchable that got by him. So, look, I mean, he will get better. I'm pretty confident in that. And, ECU needs him to be better. And I think he'll rise to the challenge. All right. Somebody adds Barron's arm as a plus. Yeah, the running game, I mean, he's got a cannon. And I think he's a better catcher than what he showed this weekend. All right, Brandon Carr says, I go, great show. I am sure my shirt is in the mail. Scott rocking the GOAT shirt tonight. Yeah, who's a real Carolina fan now?
First of all, this is a Toyota team. As a Toyota driver, you got to support our Toyotas and the pros.
Okay. Yeah, I guess did they win the Daytona?
Tyler Reddick, who drives her 2311 Racing One.
Okay.
Not JJ Reddick, who is what my wife called him the entire time. Because, they say the last name. So that's JJ Reddick.
It's a little different. Wags, do you think Scott wants to meet us on Franklin Street now after we win it all in Omaha?
Maybe that'll be a better meeting point once ECU gets to Omaha and wins it all. Franklin Street might be just closer for me and Scott to get to celebrate. So, yeah, that's where he was going with for that one, I think.
They do have his sub dogs now, so friend of the program.
Now, are you going to, or either one of y'all going to any games this week?
I'm going to at least 2.
Friday and Saturday.
Tomorrow, Saturday, maybe Sunday.
You're going to be doing the Buies Creek trip, huh?
It's cheaper to just go to the game than it is to buy Flow Sports for a month.
That is true.
And it's only like 40 minutes from here. So I took off from work. Going by myself. So if you see me out there, say hello. I'll be probably looking at my phone.
By the way, Johnny Gardner in the chat says Mason Smith, former Pirate, getting the start for the Camels. He is. I'm looking at the game notes now. Starting for the Camels on Tuesday is right-hander Mason Smith. The redshirt junior made 14 appearances, including 12 starts in 2025, finishing with a 2-6 record and a 5.61 ERA, 60 strikeouts, and a team-leading 61 innings pitched while holding opponents to a 270 average. Why does Campbell always do this? Why do they throw like their best players at ECU?
It was fun thinking we had a chance to break the streak this year, but former Pirate, it's over.
He pitched against ECU last year, right, and shoved?
And he sure did.
He'll probably hit a home run somehow, too. Says that's also what every former Pirate does against us.
I mean, it's just crazy that he's starting this game after leading the team in innings last year. Whatever, man. Screw Campbell. You know what? I'm done with this game. I'm just going to say it now. I'm done opening the season at Campbell in the midweek. I'm tired of it. I want ECU to cancel this game. Cancel this series.
Why not flip it? Let us be in Greenville for the first one for a change.
Yeah, because the freaking last game of the year never gets played.
It never
either
does.
Rain or the RPI reasons. We're just like, let's bag it. How about we just bag the first game?
Nobody wants to go to Buies Creek anyways, let alone in February.
And Campbell's golf course sucks. For those who want to take off early and go down there and golf and then play baseball and then watch a baseball game, that sucks because that golf course doesn't sell beer. And I hate
shitty golf course, shitty Buies Creek. Look, I got some people that are Campbell people out there. They're probably listening. They're getting mad at me saying this, but I'm just tired of ECU losing this game. So I just want ECU to win tomorrow. No disrespect to Mason Smith, but I hope they light Mason Smith up. 5 homers. Get Scott's all 5 homers that were not hit this weekend. Hit them tomorrow.
Yes, I don't think I specified ECU.
That is true.
It's a win.
And everybody on Xavier hit a home run.
They were impressive, man. Some of the young guys. Drew says, "Can out of towners watch the game tomorrow?" So it's on Flow Sports, Drew. And good luck with that. It's on. You can pay for it if you really want to.
So the WITN is just local, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Local antenna TV, 7-2.
Put it this way, I'm driving 40 minutes to avoid dealing with Flow Sports. So,
as somebody who now has to pay my full taxes out of pocket, I'm taking off every business expense possible. One of those will be Flow Sports. I might just subscribe to the damn annual plan. I mean, why not?
yeah,
I hope you can have multiple screens. If so, I'm just gonna leech off of IGO here.
John White says WITN is streaming online. This is news to me.
I am not buying my Flow Sports subscription. What time's the game tomorrow? 5?
5.
I am not buying it until 4:30, so I will be checking WITN all up until then.
Look, I love Dugan Lloyd over at WITN. Great respect for WITN legend Billy Weaver. But I'm not trusting the WITN stream.
I do miss the old
Yeah,
days.
you're right. I'm getting Flow.
Pre like ESPN Plus, where I would drive to some wing place in Briar Creek, and they'd have a giant antenna to get the WITN feed of ECU versus UAB on a Saturday afternoon.
Dude,
That's
those were
only
the
way you
days,
could watch
man.
it. These young
Billy
kids
Weaver on the call.
Willie Beaver on the call.
Lower the headgear. Oh, man. The good old days. CSTV. Where did we go? All right. Wags is like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Mike's never watched Pixelated Chris Johnson take a kickoff return back.
Just watching my cat jump up the wall. Just half listening to YouTube.
Yeah. All right. Week ahead, gentlemen. It is a 5-gamer right out of the gates. Brett Antolik scheduled to start and probably throw an inning at Campbell, maybe 2 if he's feeling good. Pirates, Camels on Tuesday night. Then ECU will host Northern Illinois in baseball. Little Wednesday Maction. Can I interest you in that? We get 4 o'clock first pitch, the doubleheader. I'm planning to take my 4-year-old son Slater, to baseball at 4, and then to the basketball game against Wichita State at 7. He just can't get enough of the Pirates, baby. So we're going to do that. That's a 4 o'clock first pitch, I believe. I'm looking at the Northern Illinois website. It says 3. That is because they're Central Time, right?
They are Central Time.
Okay. Just wanted to double check that. They, by the way, they won a series at North Carolina A&T. Victorious today. They played today, won 6-5. And then you got the weekend series, North Carolina. So we'll go around the horn with predictions here in a minute. JPN says, who do we think starts Wednesday? I mean, a lot of it depends probably on who throws Tuesday, if I had to guess. Any early guess?
Nick Moran.
Think so?
I think Nick Moran's going to pitch tomorrow as well.
I think so, too.
I think Wednesday is going to be Frank Saccone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. You just, at that point, you just kind of need a guy who can go in there and throw strikes, go 3-4 innings. So I think Saccone makes a lot of sense.
And that's really a team that you need to be able to beat with the bottom half of your staff. UNC also has a 5-game series or a 5-game week this week too, so that helps. They play Richmond and Longwood.
All right. 2 midweeks and UNC. It'll be a traveling series. The Tar Heels are one of the best teams in the country. They swept Indiana. Should have been 2 out of 3, but the damn Indiana second baseman has the yips and can't throw it to first base. One of the worst plays you'll ever see. That led it to go to extra innings. They win there, sweep the series. But still, elite pitching for those that don't know UNC baseball. Position players, a lot of new transfers coming in, but the pitching is, it is high caliber. I'll be surprised if there's many runs at all scored between ECU and UNC throughout the weekend. But I expect a lot of good baseball. ECU's going to have to play better defensively or else they got no shot. So any predictions As ECU's coming off a 1-2 week, 5 games this week. What do we got, gentlemen? Who wants to step it up? Wags usually does it.
I'm ready. All right. So forget everything I just said about Mason Smith and Campbell. ECU is winning. I predicted it at the start of the year when I went through my season. This is the year. ECU will beat Campbell. I think it's going to be an ugly game. You're going to see a lot of base runners. Maybe not a lot of runs since this team can't hit with runners in scoring position right now. But I think ECU wins. I think they come in on Wednesday with a high-scoring win. And hopefully you keep Northern Illinois low on the scoreboard. But I think ECU's offense will truly break through on Wednesday. And then Chapel Hill, I'm going 1-2. I was initially going to say I think you lose on Friday and Saturday, and then Colby Weber comes through again and gets you a win to facing an 0-2 start to the weekend. But UNC does have Ryan Lynch, who I believe pitches on Sundays, and he's really good. So that scares me. But I think DeCaro and Norby on Friday is going to be exactly what it was in Durham last year, a pitcher's duel, low scoring, 2-1, 3-2 type of game. But on Saturday, ECU, a lot more righties in the lineup this year. I think they're going to be set up well against a lefty and Fulmer Boaz, assuming he still starts on Saturday for them. So, yeah, I have a 3-2 week overall, 1-2 weekend. You win on Saturday, and you come away feeling pretty good about it. So that's what I got.
All right, somebody asked, by the way, what UNC is ranked. They are currently 10th in the D1 baseball poll. So just want to throw that out there. By the way, shout out Brian Wallace. He is in with a super chat, $1.99. Appreciate you, Brian. He is calling for 4-1 week. And that would be, you go 4-1 this week, and everybody's back on the train. What you got, Scott?
When we first started this segment, I had 2-3, and then I was going to say 3-2, and now I've worked myself to 4-1. I think we win the 2 midweeks. I think Friday night is the game that I was initially going to have us win just from I think Norby has to bounce back. I think he's just too good of a pitcher to have a game like that and not do that. And then on Saturday, the best part of waking up is seeing Folger get lit up in Durham. And we bust out the bats and we have a big offensive game. And Gavin Van Kempen, I think he can get you 5 or 6. If the bullpen is fresh, I think that, we can hold a lead in that game. And then I think on Sunday, it's going to be really tough with those first 2 games to be able to back up Weber. I think he's going to, pitch well again. But then as we get towards the back end of our bullpen, I think UNC's back end of their bullpen is probably a little bit better than ours. And that's the way those third games typically go. It's just who runs out of pitchers first. And I know we talked about how deep our pitching staff was, but it is a 5-game week. So I think that Sunday game may be a struggle.
Yeah, I'm torn between 4-1 and 3-2. I think ECU bounces back this week. I do think I think they win both midweeks as well. As crazy as this is, we are all picking them to win both midweeks. This is a scary, scary thing. But look, man, got to end this damn Campbell curse. It's got to happen at some point. Why not now? Why not us, baby? And I thought Wags was giving.
Wags turned it off. He's done with it.
If you not watch our live feed, Wags is frozen. I thought he was so shocked that he just turned to stone as we said that. But I don't know if he's going to be with us or not. Either way, I got ECU winning both midweeks. And I do think we've seen Ethan Norby, pitch in so many big games and deliver. I think he's going to deliver again. And the problem is, as you said, you can only go so deep into the game at this point in the season as we officially lost Wags. And the bullpen for UNC is what terrifies me. They have freaking dudes at the back end of games. McDuffie is just sliders, and it's just nasty. Mateus is back. You've got other just top arms down there. I can't remember the other kid's name who's back, but they're really good. So ECU cannot afford to wait around this is going to be a weekend you're going to have to play for the early run, and I have no problem with it. We talked about the Linehan situation. Like against Xavier, I'm with you guys. Against UNC, I'm playing for the early run or two, trying to put the pressure on them, especially in the home environment. But I think ECU wins the Friday game, and then I have them losing the next two. I'm going to go 3-2. ECU will have the home field advantage as they always do in Durham, and ideally you get that one too, but it's going to be tough. And I've got ECU going 3-2 with a couple of midweek games and then one win versus UNC, which would not be the end of the world. All right,
and it gets us back to 500, right? I mean, getting back to 4-4, going into the week of the Little Claire Classic. Hopefully, you can play well that week, then go into Coastal with some momentum.
All right. Wags, by the way, said, "Damn it, if I'm not back." He's got his bowl prediction ready to go. So we'll see if he can get back in. A win in Florida says going 2-0 midweek is key. We were right. We right where we need to be. Then less pressure for UNC. I agree with that too. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like you won the Xavier series in theory because we all expected the Campbell game to be a loss anyways. Appreciate the super chat. A win. As Wags is now commenting in the chat. What do you do?
Wags, the super chat button is on the bottom right.
Yeah, if you want to donate, Wags, to yourself, Scott will take 50% of the share, but it's well worth it.
I do think this series sets up nicely for us, by the way. Like the Friday in Greenville, Saturday in Durham, and then Weber in Chapel Hill for that last game. I think I had to flip. Norby and Chapel Hill on Friday. It's Friday, right? We're in Chapel Hill on Friday?
It's actually Friday in Greenville.
Friday in Greenville, yeah. So
yep.
I think having Norby at home is beneficial for our chances to win. And then Van Kippen on Saturday in Durham, he's got probably the most experience out of anybody else on our staff and pitched at WVU, so he's played against some pretty big-time opponents. So I do think that sets up nicely for us.
All right. And Wags is back. Wags, you've gone so long you missed the super chat. Can you hear us? Oh, no. Oh.
Maybe.
You're freezing again. All right.
Wax, turn your AC down.
Here we go.
Too cold.
I thought this was a done deal.
I just want to clarify again. It's not an internet issue. It's not an internet issue because nothing else disconnects. It's just my damn computer. Just once or twice a day just decides to disconnect from everything again. So,
all right, Wags. All right, get your bold prediction. Get out of here. We gotta let you go because you're just going in and out.
Braden Bachman home run. He put 2 well-hit balls into the outfield. Braden Bachman home run.
All right, he got it in right before he freezes again. Scott, bold prediction for the week ahead.
I'll go 30 strikeouts by Pirate pitchers this weekend. Just the weekend.
Okay, that'd be good. 27 against Xavier, 30 against UNC would be big time and be a strong statement. Where do I want to go here? ECU will win Friday night's game against UNC in walk-off fashion. Is that bold? Is that bold enough?
7th inning, 10-run.
Is there a 10-run rule in non-conference? I'm going to go walk-off winner on Friday. It just seems like those UNC games at home when ECU wins is usually in dramatic fashion.
Bristol Carter comes out.
Yep. Bristol Carter. What could have been? All right, gentlemen, we got to get out of here. We've gone extra long. Caleb's calling for a Wags GoFundMe. Bruce says, clear your catch, bro. Cachet, what is it? Catch? Cachet? Cash. Can't even get it right. All money donated goes to Wags. I don't want to have to log back in everything. Connection. That's fair. JPN says Irby hits 2 home runs versus UNC. That's his bowl prediction. And, we're going Scott on the top road till Wags redeems himself. He needs to have 2 consecutive shows with No interruptions.
It's only right.
John White adding that Hakame will make the last out from second and will not bounce the ball 12 feet like the Indiana second baseman. Let's hope so. Then we'd really have a meltdown if that happened at ECU. All right, we got to get out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. This will be archived if you missed the info on the Hoisted Colors podcast channel. For Scott, for Wags, I'm Stephen Igo. This has been the Hoisted Colors Bucks on the Pond podcast. We are out.